Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus and Landon Schmidt with you right now. Brett Norsworthy going to join us in a little bit, but we're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours. I'm sorry, 2.5 hours, because we have to get out here a little early today. Ole Miss and Mississippi State, they're in action tonight. A rare conference midweek game, but that game gets started at 6 o'clock. So we'll be out of here about 5:30 to make way for the pregame show, but plenty to get to over these next 2.5 hours with so much news coming out. We've got the Grizzlies back in action tonight, Game 2 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll talk about that. We got to talk about what happened last night. 2 incredible games in the NBA playoffs. 2 really, really fun games that started out with the Pistons on the road against the New York Knicks, a game where the Pistons won 100-94, but there was a little bit of deja vu late in that game where it felt like the Knicks got all the momentum back and maybe they would be able to come back and get a win. Too little, too late. Pistons able to win that 100-94. Then the second game, the Clippers and the Nuggets, a game where the Clippers won 105-102. So now both those series tied 1-1. We'll talk about both those games a little more in detail later in the show. We'll have to preview tonight's games as well. Bucks at Pacers. That gets started 6 o'clock on NBA TV. 6:30, we know Grizzlies and Thunder. And then 9 o'clock on TNT, T-Wolves and Lakers. All three of those 1-0. And so a lot of teams looking to even up those series, or those other teams looking to take a commanding 2-0 lead. Both the higher seeds in those first 2 games have the 1-0 lead, but in that last game, the Timberwolves with a 1-0 lead over the Lakers. We'll see if the Lakers can bounce back. The big news for tonight, though, in the NBA is that Damian Lillard will play for the Bucks against the Pacers. That was a Bucks team that really need another scorer, another star out there, because in Game 1, it was really only Giannis out there. You did not get much production from anybody else out there. So we'll talk a lot about the playoffs, about all of the other games a little bit later in the show, but we know the big news today is obviously the Grizzlies playing tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Game 2, after falling by 51 points in the first game against OKC, certainly a wake-up call. Maybe wake-up call is a little bit of an under-exaggeration of what that was, because we talked about it a lot yesterday, Landon, but it felt like Friday night you go out there and it felt like the fan base as a whole was very much split, whether it was, we get kind of carried away sometimes with what people are saying on social media and Twitter. That's not necessarily all real. And so sometimes we get carried away of, wow, man, the fan base is split. Half the fan base wants them to win and go to the playoffs. The other half want them to lose and get a draft pick. I don't necessarily think it was as 50-50 as it looked, but I do think it was probably 70-30, and 70 wanting them to go and continue playing, the 30 wanting them to lose that game and go get a draft pick. But it felt like a lot of people got excited with that win Friday night against Dallas, and then you turn around Sunday and you lose by 51 points. And you heard after the game of, we'll never play that bad. We'll never have a game like that. I loved Tomas Isolo's quote after the game where he said, well, the good news is you can only go up from here, kind of a realistic view of what happened in that game. But I guess my question is, what does improvement look like? Is it, only losing by 20? Is it losing by 15? I mean, what does improvement look tonight? I think what Brett said yesterday, I think that's the big one. He said, you'll know it when you see it. You'll know it if you see it, I guess you could say, of, does this team look more competitive? I think it starts with things that we've seen all season. Can this team limit the turnovers? That's what DeMichael Cole said with us yesterday afternoon when we asked him what are some things that the Grizzlies can fix from Game 1 to Game 2, and he said, limiting those turnovers. You had over 20 turnovers in the first game, but then, can you limit that to 15 or 16 in the second game? I think that would be a huge improvement for a team that, really has struggled with turnovers most of the year. Can you limit that against this OKC defense that has really, really been strong defensively all year long, has been one of the best defenses in the NBA all season. Can you limit the turnovers? Can you get more from Jaren Jackson Jr., who really struggled? Can you get more from Desmond Bane, who has come up big and knocked down some big three-pointers throughout the season? Can he be a factor tonight in this game? I think do we have Brett with us now? I believe.
Yeah,
Brett,
you do.
Okay,
Yep,
Brett. Hey, Brett, welcome in.
Good afternoon. Sorry for being a little late.
No, you're all good. I didn't know you were with us, so I
Violated several speed laws.
Hey, that's sometimes you've got to do that, but at least you're here. You didn't get pulled over, and I guess that's the big thing.
I think we'll know it when we see it, but I'm going to address that in my top story.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand, and we do it. I do it. Let me just go first person. I do it collectively about things when we kind of dumb down our standards. We start lowering that bar. And look, let me speak directly. The bar for Ole Miss football last fall was the college football playoff. What did I say all football season? If they didn't make that, what would that year be?
It was a failure.
A failure. Not disappointing, not shuckles, a failure. That was the stated preseason goal. We are getting very comfortable, I think, around here with two primary subjects we talk about, maybe even a third, Tiger football, but certainly Tiger basketball, and the Grizzlies. We just keep dropping it a little lower. We keep dropping it a little lower.
Yep. No, I think you're right. I think we absolutely do. And so, I mean, it felt like, and we talked about this yesterday, it felt like that game was a wake-up call for a lot of people. It kind of changed the narrative, and hearing people talk about it, hearing reaction from it, it feels like that opened a lot of people's eyes of kind of where this team is right now, at least against some of the better teams in the Western Conference.
It is, and that was a 2 seed, February 27th.
Yep.
We know why it scrambled to get in the playoffs, to make the 8. I left Friday night fairly pleased with in the playoffs, but Sunday was the 2x4 across the face.
Oh yeah, I mean it was that knockout punch where you're not even trying to get back up. You're out cold, and I mean,
would it have been any better if it had been a paltry 22?
Well, that's great. That's a great question. Maybe. I think the
or would we have then collectively ran the Friday and had to travel again? A lot of excuses for a place that I think pridefully and justifiably we talk about. We don't bluff.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, that's why I said maybe, because I think you're already seeing some of those excuses for the 51-point loss of, well, they just played Friday, it's a quick turnaround, OKC has been resting, and they were ready to go. So, yeah, if it was 25 points, that resembles more of what the regular season results were against OKC. So I do think you would have had some of that if it was, just a 25-point loss rather than a 50-point loss. 50-point loss, it felt like that screamed to everybody, oh, we have a lot of issues on this roster right now.
And we didn't make a federal case of it yesterday, and I'm not going to today. Not even going to make much of a local case of it today. But we didn't spend collectively 25 seconds on Ja's sideline demeanor.
No. We brought it up very, very briefly, and then we moved on.
I don't want to see it tonight.
No.
And I think a lot of people were there.
Oh, yeah.
It's past time. Face of the franchise. The franchise. We finally waited through the draft for our superstar change agent. Change agent with marketing, merchandising. Remember, we thought he would be on last year. At one time, we were thinking, how many Olympic teams?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, predicting him on all of these and talking about, not only face of the franchise, Brett, face of the NBA. And so, yeah, I mean. Top
10, 15, 20 players. Yeah. He's not that now. And he wasn't on last year's Olympic team. He's not going to be on the one in Los Angeles either.
No.
And I think there's a coterie of enablers out there on a couple of the biggest stars, personalities in the city, that being Penny and Ja, that there's always an excuse for.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like there is. I mean, there's always excuse making, and so no, I mean, you want to see those star-like performances, and then you don't want to see some of these sideline reactions.
That doesn't mean perfection from anybody. Look, other teams get paid on first and 15th too. Other teams are scrambling and fighting and wanting to win too, but there just hadn't been enough for all the coddling.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And, Ja Morant has been great when he's out there. I don't think that's not the issue with Ja Morant is production. It's, can you be out there and produce? Exactly. It has been the injuries and the sideline. We talk about it a lot. What was it? Probably 3/4 into the season, and he had not played 5 consecutive games all year long. You have to be out there, and it's something you hear with a lot of the stars in the NBA is how big of a star can you be if you're not out there a lot for your team, and so I think that's the biggest thing for Ja Morant. And
did he ever catch LaRavia in games played?
You know what? I don't know. I hope so.
All right, and my theory yesterday on the maintenance, and I think it's to trade him. You got to have a trade partner.
That's true. That's very true.
You got to have somebody that's going to want him, and he's still 6 foot and 170.
Yeah, I think though there will if you're the Grizzlies and you want to trade him, there are going to be teams out there that will want him and will take him. But yeah, I mean that's certainly a concern.
A lot goes with him.
It does. But he's a great player, and I think you'll have teams out there that will want. I mean, if Sacramento wants Jake LaRavia, then there are teams out there that will want Ja Morant.
If somebody take Shaky Jake,
that's right. I mean, heck,
they'll sure take Ja the Magnificent.
I don't think there. We always talk about those games that we'll never forget. I will never forget the Grizzlies being on the road at Sacramento and the entire arena chanting Jake LaRavia's name as he dominated the Grizzlies in Sacramento. I mean, I will never forget it. And that's one of those things that is just very, very strange to hear. And so, yeah, I do think if the Grizzlies choose to trade him, there will be a trade partner. Now, the question is, what do you get in return? What does that trade look like? Yeah. It might not be what you think.
And I don't want a whole lot of protected stuff. I want known entities.
Sure. Yeah. The protected stuff.
No, because protected. I mean, that's just like a runaway freight train. You don't know where it's going to stop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's that gets real confusing down the line, and you really never know when that could end up. But a really good slate of games tonight, including this Grizzlies game, and then the other two games: Bucks at Pacers, and then Timberwolves at Lakers. Should be a lot of fun. We're also going to talk a lot of NFL today, a lot of NFL draft, and Brett, real quick, wanted to get this out before we got into top and not top story of the day. I'm starting to see a lot of mock drafts coming out that Shedeur Sanders looks like he is sliding, falling to late first round. Some even having him outside of the first round. And so, I mean, maybe that is the big slide we see this year.
Well, and Jackson Dart, that was originally on the list to go to the draft, to be in the green room, now will not.
Yeah.
And I don't have any trouble with that because you don't want to be the awkward green room guy.
No.
If it works the other way and you're picked third, and they have to point to the cameras in his home in outside of Salt Lake City or to his home in Oxford or wherever he's having his draft night, or for Shedeur Sanders.
Sure.
He doesn't, but he's going. And he's set to go.
I actually don't think he's on the list. I don't think he is going.
I think that's wise.
Yeah, I think
that's wise. Because you don't want to be that you don't want to be that last guy there, and all the M&Ms are yours in the green room.
You get a lot of M&Ms if you're the last
guy
in the room. That is true. But that's a really good point, because when that list came out, I'll have to double check, but I do not think Shedeur Sanders was on that list to be in the green room. And when I saw it, this was when it was still looking like number 3, at worst, maybe going late in the top 10. And I was going, wow, that's very weird that Shedeur Sanders isn't going to be there. But now seeing all of this news and everything that shows him slide, I think it's a great idea to maybe stay at home and just see how it plays out.
I could almost swerve right into a Sissy's Log Cabin spot with this, but that green room, you better dang well know the answer to that question when you buy that engagement ring.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's a really good point. That's a really good analogy, too. You better know you're going to be a first-round pick. Cam Ward, he goes to the green room all day. You know, he's completely fine in the green room.
He's Mr. Green.
Yeah, some of these other guys though, yeah, you better know that you got a partner out there. You got a team that really wants you in that first round.
And that stays with you. It stayed with Aaron Rodgers until he became prolific superstar.
Sure did. And so it's a lot easier, you know, if you're sitting at your house, it's a lot easier if you go in that first round and just have that camera shoot on you and your family.
Nicely
all
walk over to
around
that producer
you.
and go, hey, kindly turn the camera on.
Exactly. So I do think probably a good move by some of these quarterbacks. We're going to talk a lot about the NFL draft throughout today's show, but let me set it up before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Evan Barnes. You remember him covering the Tiger football team over at the Commercial Appeal. Well, now he is up in New York with the New York Newsday covering the New York Giants. We'll talk with him about the Giants, what they will do on draft night, some of the offseason things going on up in New York. We'll also talk a little NBA with him with the Knicks. Taking that loss last night against the Pistons, what's the feeling up there? Madison Square Garden, rocking both nights. I mean, last night, rocking. It felt like maybe a little deja vu there towards the end.
I thought they were going to get them at the end.
I thought they were too. So we'll talk a lot of New York sports with Evan in our next segment.
But he is on the scene with the Giants.
Yes,
I guarantee he's up to date with Shedeur.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So it's going to be fun. He's the perfect guy to talk to about Shedeur Sanders and what the Giants could do there. Also, reports earlier this morning, Peter Schrager on ESPN saying that the Giants and the Browns both fielding calls for trades, teams trying to trade up to either 2 or 3. So we'll get his thoughts on that as well. A lot to get to with Evan Barnes. 3:45, we'll get back into the conversation about the Grizzlies and Game 2 against the Thunder. 6:30 on TNT. 4 o'clock, Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville. He'll join us, talk a lot of college football. 4:30, we'll talk more NBA playoffs. We'll talk about both games from last night and then the games that will take place tonight, including the Grizzlies and the Thunder. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Bo Marchant will join us to talk the NFL. We'll get to a ton of draft with Bo, as only a couple days away. We've got a running ticker. But you know I love the countdown tickers on ESPN. 51 hours, 42 minutes, and 37 seconds until draft time. So we will talk a lot of draft with Bo Marchant. Okay,
hand the card in the end. It says Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami.
That's right. In 51 hours and 52 minutes and 30 seconds, I want it announced that Cam Ward is the first quarterback taken in that draft. Let's not wait around like we always do. But we'll talk a ton of NFL with Bo Marchant. We'll talk with him about 18 or so minutes. We'll get out early with him, and then we'll get to an early crunch time because we've got to get out of here early. Again, Ole Miss and Mississippi State in action tonight. We'll have the pregame show at 5:30 going into that 6 o'clock first pitch. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. It's pool time, and Family Leisure is already booking pool installs for 2025. Buy now and get on the list for your pool installation. 2024 pool starting at $19.99 installed. Liners starting at $299. All pool accessories up to 20% off, and 5 to 6 person hot tubs starting at $69.99. Swim spas and cold plunge tubs now $2,000 off, and don't forget about the patio furniture. Select sets up to 50% off, and if you mention this ad, get free installation only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
He's Brian. I'm Brett. Our show is Sports Time. We're with you until about 5:30. We get out of the way for Ole Miss and Mississippi State down at Pearl. Produced by Landon Schmidt. We want you to join us at 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. We're always in our Family Leisure Studios, and all our guests will join us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255 this hour every day. Brought to you by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2025 models and always special leasing options. Stop by the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. Call them at 901-334-9673, but they want you to stop by And you will drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, it's got to be Game 2 tonight between the Grizzlies and the Thunder. We've talked enough about Game 1. It was what it was. It was a grisaster. A lot of grisasters stacking up this year. But Game 1 certainly would classify
We
as
got
a
to get Eli's
grisaster.
opinion. Was that the all-time
It was up there. It certainly
just
would make
run
a case.
for your lives, hide the women and children grisaster?
That was up there. That certainly was. But can the Grizzlies avoid another grisaster tonight in Game 2, another road game in OKC? We talked about it yesterday. That line hasn't moved much today, still at 14.5, but it's hard to believe that in the NBA playoffs, a team is a 15-point favorite, even in the first round, even an 8-1. We talked about it yesterday. In the East, the 8-1, Cleveland and Miami. Yesterday, Cleveland only an 11-point favorite in that game, but we know in this one, Jaren Jackson Jr. has to be better. Only 4 points for him, 2 for 13 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, only 3 rebounds for him. We know not a big rebounder, but you've got to get out there and produce. If you're not making shots, you've got to find other ways to impact the game, and that just didn't happen in Sunday's game, Game 1. Can he be better? Can Desmond Bane knock down shots? A guy that has made big shots for you all season, he's got to be better than 1 for 6 from the three-point line. We know that there was a massive difference between the defense, the defensive intensity, the physicality between what you saw Friday night in the Mavericks and what you saw Sunday against OKC, one of the best defenses in the NBA. And it was very clear the Grizzlies were not ready for it whatsoever. Will they be better prepared tonight in Game 2? You got to limit those turnovers. 22 turnovers against this Thunder team. That's a disaster. You turn the ball over 22 times, they're going to make you pay greatly. Hopefully a better performance tonight in Game 2.
My top story. So what is victory tonight? I'll tell you what victory is. It's one more point that Oklahoma City has.
Yeah.
This isn't Coach Pitch T-ball.
No. We're not playing for participation trophies, Brett.
We're not going to get a milkshake if we win or lose. This isn't the Nike Hoop Summit where you learn and get okay with losing at the ABCD camp. This is the NBA playoffs.
Yep.
I almost wanted to put another word in there, but I think people know the word I'd want to put in there.
Yep.
What's the goal for the series? Win the series.
Yeah.
The Grizzlies have won a 1 versus 8 before.
Yep.
They won a 1 versus 8 against the San Antonio Spurs with Pop and Manu and Tony Parker and Tim Duncan and those cats.
Don't forget about that guy that was a star last night, Kawhi Leonard. I mean,
not something called the Thunder. How did we get to this point?
well,
How did we get so comfortably, okay, so comfortably squishy?
yeah, that is the question of the day, Brett. How did we get here?
And
really don't
we've
understand.
been doing it for a while now for the Grizzlies. This is the end.
Yep.
This is the end of the innocence.
I think you're right.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it's the NFL draft. Thursday night, we'll know where a lot of teams are going in the first round, but now we're getting it. Smoke screens or actual reporting, what's going on? We're seeing Shedeur Sanders starting to slide. A lot of mock drafts coming out, either having him very late in the first round, maybe going to the Steelers in the mid-20s, maybe going all the way at the end of the draft with the team trading up to grab him in the first round. Some people even having him outside of the first round. We heard earlier today on ESPN that number 2, number 3, the Browns and the Giants are both fielding calls, teams wanting to trade up to either 2 or 3, and maybe one of those teams being okay trading down. The running back, Ashton Genty, where does he go? How many quarterbacks go in the first round? A lot of questions that we will have the answers to on Thursday, but until we get then, it's all of the smoke screens. It's all of the reports coming out. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who knows what
Nobody
we'll see
likes
Thursday
anything.
night. No, nobody likes anybody.
Nobody likes anything. And this is where we should be getting down to put on the tape. But now we're digging back up three-cone shuttle tanks.
Of course. Give me vertical.
Yeah, not top story. NBA TV ratings up for the playoffs. The commissioner very proud of it at a big sports business summit in Nashville. Keep Adam Silver out of Nashville is what I say that joking. I say that jokingly. He loved the TV ratings, averaging about 4.4 million so far per game. That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Not Thursday night of the draft. Mm-mm. Not Friday night of the draft. Mm-mm. But Saturday of the NFL draft will exceed 4.4 million.
Oh, yeah.
The Liberty Bowl last December between Arkansas and Texas Tech, guess what its rating was?
I'm going to say more.
4.4 million.
Wow.
Exactly the same as the team that what Adam Silver is so excited about.
Wow.
So tell all the cool kids that love to kill the bowl games, and nobody's watching these. Who cares about those? I wish they'd just say, I don't care and I don't watch, because the same number of people watch the Liberty Bowl as watch the NBA playoffs.
Well, you mentioned with your top story that we've all kind of, as a collective group, have gotten way too comfortable with the, allowing the Grizzlies, the mediocreness of the Grizzlies. As a group, it feels like a lot of people have gotten very comfortable saying everybody, we all, nobody, when they really just mean themselves.
That's right.
Yeah, it's become...
That's exactly right.
It's become way too much, and you're seeing it all over the place. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break, and when we return, we're going to talk about the New York Giants. What will they do on draft night? Evan Barnes from the New York Newsday. He joins us next.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56.
It is too. I am not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that April is just one of the great months to sit outside at Central Barbecue.
I didn't say there weren't other great months to sit outside at Central Barbecue locations.
And there are a lot of them, and they all have outdoor seating.
I don't think you had to interrupt me for that. What I'm saying is April is particularly great because it's the first month where we can sit outside in Memphis.
In South Haven?
Stop interrupting me. I was going to say South Haven.
No, you weren't. You always forget about South Haven.
I resent that.
Hey, I produce these. You want me to back the tape up?
No. It's still the best month to sit outside at Central Barbecue.
It's the Freedom of Choice pricing program, Ram Truck Month and Jeep Celebration all in one at Gossett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat on the Pike. 2025 Compass Latitude 4x4, $49.69 off MSRP and $24,796 with Jeep Select Terrain System. Go from snow, sand, and mud. 2024 Dodge Hornet RT all-wheel drive, $12,673 off or $397 a month with a turbocharged 2.0-liter engine standard. One of the most powerful SUVs in its class. Or 0% for 72 months is available. 2025 Ram 1500 Tradesman Crew Cab with best-in-class payload capacity, now $13,335 off MSRP, or 1.9 for 72 is available. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat online at GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
7704, MSRP 29765, Hornet R3 A08 452, MSRP 44620, Ram SN 673 402, MSRP 5170, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title license, CD for complete details, offer valid to end of the month with approved credit, dealer stock only.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With two conveyor lines of the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Showboats fans, the boats are back in action at Simcoe Liberty Stadium on Sunday, May 11th as they face the St. Louis Battlehawks with kickoff scheduled for 2 p.m. Come see all the football action of the UFL and join us as we celebrate our mascot Skipper's birthday. Treat Mom to a Mother's Day she'll never forget with more fun, more excitement, and more Showboats football. Get your tickets today at UFLShowboats.com. That's UFLShowboats.com. Go Boats!
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting to get a little bit busier as you come off the interstate there on the Austin P Highway going outbound Midtown traffic. Not bad right now. Keeping an eye on it. It's going to get heavier in the next 20-30 minutes for sure on 240 southbound at South Parkway. 240 right now looks good as you get on to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. Do you have dandelions, nutgrass, crabgrass in your yard? Well, Lawn Solutions can get rid of it for you at an affordable price. Call Lawn Solutions at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We're back in Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. We're going to talk to Evan Barnes here in a second. He covers the New York Giants for the New York Newsday. Obviously, a lot of talk about this Giants team with the number 3 pick. What will they do? It felt like for a while, Shedeur Sanders was the lock to go and be the next quarterback for the Giants. But now, I'm seeing a lot of mock drafts say different things. Abdul Carter maybe is a guy that they could go and get at number 3. Brett, where do you feel like the Giants could go Thursday night?
Well, if they think he is the quarterback of the future, you can't pass up on that. But if you're a lot of pieces away and you think next year's draft will give you something, try to start getting better at a lot of places. But how much longer for Brian Daboll? Is he going to be around? Is he going to be around to coach?
Well, that's a good question, and I think the same thing for General Manager Joe Shane. How long does he last? This feels like a big draft for him. If you go out there and you draft a miss, if you go out there and I guess it can go both ways. If you draft Shedeur and he really struggles, doesn't pan out, it feels like that could really hurt you. Maybe that costs your job. Then the other way, if you go out there and you pass on Shedeur Sanders and Shedeur Sanders is great and you draft whoever, that could definitely hurt you as well. It feels like both head coach and general manager entering this season on a little bit of a hot seat.
Yeah, it could, and that's always the problem. You're drafting this high for a reason.
Yeah, no,
and
absolutely.
It means you're probably a couple of players away.
That's right. Yeah, and it feels like maybe Russell Wilson could be a guy that if you don't like a quarterback this year, maybe you roll with him this week or this year, and then maybe next year is the year to go out and get a quarterback. It feels like they have at least a option at the quarterback position, but we'll just have to wait and see. Evan Barnes, he joins us now from the New York Newsday. Evan, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, everyone remembers Evan's time at the Commercial Appeal here in Memphis. How's New York? How are things up there?
Man, things are great in New York. Starting to finally warm up, which is great because I have not loved this cold winter. So it's been getting better, and I'm taking that because I missed when spring was warm in March.
Well, we're glad to hear your voice, and we're glad to talk a lot of subjects with you. But I want to ask you, from a professional point of view, having been a beat guy for a college football team, been a beat guy for an NBA basketball team, in this process with the Giants, what has this been like for you?
It's been interesting because obviously, I kind of jumped on the NFL beat so soon in the season, not soon, but during the season. So I was there for 5 games. So it was a really fun thing to get adjusted to. And actually, I had never been to an NFL game before this. So that was a bit of an adjustment. I was like, wow, here we are, first game, first NFL game for me as a person. It's been an adjustment, but getting used to having the winter as kind of a quiet time as opposed to the summer as a quiet time, it's interesting. It reminds me of being a Memphis beat writer, but it's different because obviously you don't have to deal with recruiting or the transfer portal or anything like that. It's definitely a much more smoother off season, shall we say.
So Shedeur Sanders, we hear he's sliding. We hear they're going to take him. We also hear that Brian Daboll, a little bit to a lot, I guess a lot if you're enamored with, it's a lot, with Jalen Milroe maybe dealing into that. How do you think it's going to play out for the Giants? And you can't miss with Abdul Carter.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants have flexibility. I mean, we talked to the general manager last week, Joe Shane, and he basically said, we're not going to, be back into a corner to pick anybody. We're going to go with the best fit, best player available, and whether or not that's Shedeur Sanders, we will see. But I think it seems like there's a chance the Giants are probably going to take either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter if they're available. That's what the mock draft seemed to say. Obviously, the Giants do need a quarterback, and it would help them to get one. But if they don't get Shedeur Sanders, maybe they slide down and wait until that second round to get, Jalen Milroe or maybe Tyler Shuck. I mean, Jackson Dart, it sounds like, people think really highly of him in New York, but who knows where he might get taken. He might get taken in the back end of the first round just because teams are just so quarterback needy. Mm-hmm. So I think the Giants have flexibility, but I think it's more like, it seems like it's trending now. They might get Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. If they get Abdul Carter, that's another pass rusher on a pretty loaded front that they have.
Yeah, no, I mean, like Brett said, you can't miss with Abdul Carter, it feels like. There was a report this morning, Peter Schrager on ESPN, saying that both the Browns and the Giants are fielding trade calls at 2-3. What do you think the feeling is to maybe trade back out of that third spot? Obviously, you'd have to get a really good haul back, but what is the feeling of maybe moving back a little bit and waiting to see what's there maybe middle, late first round?
I mean, I'm sure they're taking all their options. I'm sure they're weighing all their options. My personal opinion, you don't have one of the worst seasons in franchise history to get the ninth pick in the draft.
Right.
Like, you went 3-14 last year. It was one of the worst seasons. When I got on the beat, it was literally a depressing mood where people were literally asking Brian Daboll about job security, right? So it's to me, you don't go through all that to slide back, I think. Especially when you can get somebody like Abdul Carter, who we all saw, wreak havoc during the CFP. And obviously we've seen their recent history with Penn State, the defensive players they produced, Micah Parsons. Why not go after somebody you can throw in there with Brian Burns, came on to Dexter Lawrence? Why not get Travis Hunter and say, hey, you find a way to play him even though you just signed Paulson Adebo at cornerback, or you're bringing back your top 3 wide receivers. Like, you find somebody who can get you and make an impact. And I think if they slide back, that's maybe saying, okay, you'll slide back to maybe get Shedeur. But again, do you really need to get a quarterback? But I don't know. It just seems like you have a top 3 pick. You want to make that pick worth something. So I'm sure they're fielding calls, but at this point, I think it's anyone's guess what the Giants are going to do.
Yeah.
Evan, and I will readily admit, I am addicted to comparisons, to comparing this guy to this player from a few years ago and yesteryear. And if the Giants somehow get Jackson Dart, you know what the comparisons are going to be. Ole Miss with Eli. They couldn't be diametrically opposed, more different players. I think Jackson Dart, a more fair college comparison, would be to Archie Manning than to Eli Manning with the wheels and the throwing ability. Eli just had that thinking man's throwing ability game. He didn't really have a run game. But if the Giants take Abdul Carter, that's not the same alma mater like Jackson Dart and Eli, but if they take Abdul Carter, in Big Blue Land who they're going to compare him to, they're going to immediately want him to be LT.
Of course. And look, Abdul Carter didn't help himself by posting a picture of LT, Lawrence Taylor, when he was at the Giants facility for his official visit. I mean, He knows the tradition and history of the Giants pass rushers. I actually just wrote something today, an analysis that basically said, look, what was the secret sauce to the Giants winning those Super Bowls? It was defense. It was pass rushers.
Sure was.
So you look at Abdul Carter and say, hey, he could fit right in with the pretty strong front that you have. You find a way to mix him in there with the guys I mentioned, the Burns, Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence. You got a pretty nice front. But obviously, if the Giants somehow take Jackson Dart, I'm sure a lot of folks down in Oxford would be happy and giddy for many reasons. And even Eli spoke highly of Jackson Dart back in January. I believe he had an event up here, spoke very highly of Jackson Dart. We interviewed him at the Senior Bowl. He seems like he'd have no problem playing in New York. So I think, hey, again, the Giants have options, but I do suspect they will get a quarterback within the first 3 rounds of the draft. When that will be, I guess we'll find out.
What do you make of the current quarterback room? Obviously, Russell Wilson up there. Are the Giants, okay going into the season with him being the starting quarterback and bringing in one of these guys to develop, like you say, kind of maybe a Jackson Dart, someone like that can sit behind him and learn? What do you think of who is currently in that quarterback room?
Yeah, I think that by getting Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, you clearly said to yourself, hey, we need a quarterback who can help us win right now. Mm-hmm. Whatever they were going to do in the draft, that's fine, that's for the future, but they need a right-now quarterback, especially after that embarrassing 3-14 season where your head coach and GM are now on the hot seat. I think that you look at Russell Wilson and you say, okay, obviously his numbers were a little down last year. He's not the same quarterback he was 10 years ago, but he's experienced, he's a leader, he's got that deep ball that everyone loves. The Giants need to have an offense that looks good. If they could protect him, maybe something can happen, although Russell Wilson does take a lot of sacks. So you say, okay, that's a nice stopgap that gives you insurance to play around with. And obviously Jameis Winston, if you need to go to him, that's a quarterback who can obviously handle the job if need be for a spot, or 2 or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think that the Giants' thinking is clearly, hey, we need to get some win-now quarterbacks after the last 2 seasons where they played seven quarterbacks, 6 snaps. The last 2 seasons combined, they have to get a veteran to come in here, and I think you could do a lot worse than Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston.
Evan, we've talked about a couple of these quarterback prospects. I believe you were still here when Seth Hennigan was on campus at Memphis very early in his career. How do you view the Memphis quarterback as a draft prospect and what he could be in the NFL?
Gosh, it's funny you say that because, I've been gone 2 years and it feels like an eternity, right?
That's right, yeah.
Seth has been here. He's been here since Lloyd Patterson ran out of eligibility in the late 70s.
Hey, Seth is getting the jokes I heard about Brady White, a few years ago. I love it.
Well, you're right. That's the timeline. It went Lloyd Patterson, then to Seth. That's right. Brady White, and then to Seth.
Uh-huh.
Hey, I get it. But yeah, obviously, I covered Seth his first 2 seasons. He's obviously shown some growth since then. I think it'll be really interesting. I got to talk to him briefly at the Senior Bowl just to catch up. We didn't interview him, but I just talked to him, just congratulated him on his great Memphis career and, winning bowl games and everything. That's a huge accomplishment. I think it will be interesting how he translates at the next level. I'm not sure what the buzz is for him as far as maybe getting drafted, but certainly if he gets invited to a camp or something, he can definitely show what he can do. He's obviously intelligent. He's got the numbers. He's well groomed, obviously, from his father being, his high school coach. I'll be curious to see what happens with Seth. I don't know if he gets drafted, but it sounds like, if he gets invited to a camp, who knows, what he can do. So I'll be curious to see kind of how that plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to Evan Barnes, he covers the Giants for the New York Newsday. I know we've talked a lot of Giants, but I got to ask you, what is it like being up there right now with the Knicks in the playoffs? MSG has been jumping for both the home games to start this series. What's it like with the Knicks playing well and in the playoffs right now?
I'll give you a great story. So when I moved here 2 Aprils ago, I got here right when I was covering the Nets. I got here when the Nets were in the playoffs, right? So I jumped right to that beat. But after that, they lost in the first round. I helped out to cover the Knicks in the 2023 playoffs. When I say Madison Square Garden is a fantastic place to watch a playoff game, I am not exaggerating. The crowd is into it. The organ gets into it. You see the old Knicks who are, on the sideline cheering and everything. You see the fans get into it. It's an incredible atmosphere. I've been fortunate now to cover games here 23 and 24, but to imagine a game like last night or a game like game 1 where the Knicks have to come back and then the Pistons held off to win game 2, it's electric. It's really exciting, and you can see where the Knicks have a hold on people in this town. Like the Knicks being good, it's been a while. It's been almost 2 decades. You love to see the energy. So it's been a fun series to watch. The crowds have been great, I'm sure, at MSG. and you can just feel the energy. So I love it. I really love being around here when the Knicks are good.
Evan, I think that's really a window into kind of the soul of New York sports right now. I think the Maras and the Tishes, I know they see the Yankees. I know they see the Mets. They see the Knicks right now. They don't want to drop down any more pegs, do they?
No. And we talked to John Mara after the end of the season. He clearly was bothered by the losing. This is a proud man, a proud family that's owned that team for, 100 years, They want to be back in that conversation. And the Giants honestly have the better chance of the two teams right now to get back given their history. Like, they've been to the playoffs within the last 5 years. The Jets haven't been in, I believe, 14 straight years. So the Giants want to get back. And when Mara spoke to us, you could tell he was frustrated. You could tell he was upset with where the team has been the last 2 years. So it's clear he wants to get back. And clearly the city would love it because you don't want the Giants to not carry their weight. You don't want the Jets not to carry their weight. And the Giants, given their history, have a better chance to do that. So they clearly want to get back to being talked about, besides being talked about for poor play.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what the Giants do Thursday night in the first round. Evan, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll definitely have to do this again.
Hey, no problem, Brett. I love you, man. Thank you guys for having me back on, and you guys stay well.
Thanks, we love you. Got a lot of friends here, Evan. Thank you so much. It's almost 2 years exactly since I was last at the media dining room table with you, and you were told me of your move that night, and both of us were talking about how much we loved our moms.
That's right. I'm glad you always tell me that, man. Love your mom. I love my mom to this day. She's still here, so I always appreciate you, Brady. You're a good man, and thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, you, my friend. Be safe.
Evan Barnes joining us from the New York Newsday covering the New York Giants, and it's going to be a big one Thursday night to see where they go in the first round.
Well, you don't ever know where sports is going to take you. Imagine the first time Evan, out at a practice, went over and said, "Hey, I'm Evan Barnes with the Commercial Appeal. I'm the beat guy for Tiger football," and met a young Seth Hennigan.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
and
crazy.
Now he's covering the New York Football Giants, and Seth Hennigan's trying to get in the National Football League.
It's crazy.
You don't ever know.
No,
you don't ever know where it's going to take you.
No, you absolutely never know. And hard to believe that's only been 2 years. I mean, I was sitting here thinking, was he still here when Seth was playing? Because it feels like he's been gone for a really long time.
We were in the middle of that Lakers series 2 years ago. And he told me, look, it's not for public, but I just got a job offer, a dream come true.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I said, well, you need me to help you pack?
That's great. But yeah, a lot of fun getting Evan on.
Good man.
Talking about the New York Giants, and got a little bit of basketball in there as well. Speaking of the NBA basketball going on, a reminder that as long as the Grizzlies are in the playoffs, we're doing our Grizzlies playoff payoff right here on Sports 56. Every single day we're giving away $98.50. I don't know when it's being given out. It's given out once a day, so keep listening. Make sure you stay tuned in all day long for a chance to win that cash. We'll be giving it away at some point. Gotta thank the sponsors: Memphis Mold Inspector, the only licensed mold inspector in the Mid-South, and Club Car Wash. Get 25% off any membership for 12 months right now at clubcarwash.com. Gotta thank the sponsors helping us with this Grizzlies playoff payoff. Let's get to a break, and when we get back, we'll talk about the Grizzlies playoff. Game 2 tonight against the OKC Thunder. We'll talk about it next on Sports Time.
Kuiper Jr. here. Have you always dreamed about a career in sports? Dr. Lynn Lashbrook with Sports Management Worldwide offers online training courses that launch your sports career. Sports Management Worldwide at smww.com trains people in as little as 8 weeks to be sports agents, scouts, and work in the front offices of the NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, and NASCAR. Call Sports Management Worldwide at 877-SMWW now. That's 877-SMWW-NOW. Call now or visit smww.com.
You get the best of Memphis for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack. Choose from house pastrami, corned beef, smoked turkey, roast beef, roast pork, beef brisket, and full shoulders, all made in-house. Elwood's fresh beef bread is delivered daily only in our bakery in Cordova, and all Elwood's cakes and sweet treats come from Frost Bakery. Open daily for lunch and dinner at
think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. Miramichi is now open on Mondays, and you'll find the lowest rate is on Thursday. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
Air. We breathe it naturally. Simple, right? Not so fast. The air you breathe could be hazardous to your health. Don't guess. Be sure with a phone call to the Memphis Mold Inspector, the only licensed mold assessor in the Mid-South. Call the Memphis Mold Inspector to check the air quality inside your home and office. Protect babies, pets, new homes, old homes, employees, friends, loved ones, and you. Just call 901-292-7788 for clean air and peace of mind. 901-292-7788 for the Memphis Mold Inspector.
With Progressive, it's easy to reach customer service with our app, website, chat, or by phone. Because when getting help is hard, it's not helping.
Thank you for calling Bench Press Assistance. What? Due to excessive gym volume, all available spotters are currently lifting heavy weights off the chests of other bench pressers. Seriously, please continue to hold, and we will remove the barbell from your chest in the order in which your cry for help was received.
Getting assistance should be easy. With Progressive, it is. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Now, Sports Time. Sports This hour is brought to you by Lexus Sports
Well, tonight, the Grizzlies and the Thunder, they'll have Game 2 for this first round. We know what happened in Game 1. It was not a lot of fun, and so we'll see if the Grizzlies can be better tonight against this Thunder team. But it's going to take a lot, and you're going to need a lot of guys that did not produce in Game 1 to be a lot better. That includes Jaren Jackson Jr., that includes Desmond Bane, that includes Santi Aldama off the bench that has been really good all year, coming off the bench, giving you a spark while some of your starters are on the bench. Those guys have got to be better tonight against OKC.
Vegas is saying you have no chance. All the national and local commentariat says no chance for the Grizzlies. We'll see. All those protestations and talk after the game, after Sunday, we'll see if that was just talk, if there are, or if some people are going to back it up. And Jaren Jackson, it is time for him to back it up. He's got to get in there and mix and mingle and get some rebounds. You're not Jalen Brunson.
No. And that's kind of been Jaren Jackson since he's gotten to the NBA. You know, he's a guy that wants to be out on the perimeter offensively. He is not a guy that's going to get in there and be overly physical and fight for rebounds. But you've got to have somebody that's doing that. It can't all be Zach Edey in there grabbing rebounds. And so you would like to see Jaren Jackson against this physical OKC team. Get down there, mix it up a little bit, try to fight for some of these rebounds. 3 rebounds. That I don't care if you're not a rebounder. I hear it all the time. Well, Jaren Jackson Jr. is just not a rebounder. I don't care. If you're that size, you should be grabbing more than 3 rebounds a game.
If you're over 6'4", become one.
That's right. Yes, you've got to be one. When
Wes Unseld was about 6'7". He was one of the great rebounders of all time.
That's right. When you and Ja Morant have the same amount of rebounds in a game, that shouldn't happen. You should have much more rebounds than what Ja Morant is grabbing.
What's of the 2 players, of Ja or Jaren, who do you think would bring the most in a deal?
That is a really good question. I would think Jaren just a little bit more.
I do too.
Defensive player of the year.
6'11".
6'11", does not have that injury
Not
history.
170.
Sure, exactly. And so I think it would be pretty close. I do think Jaren would probably get a little bit more than Ja Morant. I think you could get a good haul for either of them, though. I think there are a lot of teams that would like to have one of those guys on their team. And so, those feel like two guys that, keep an eye on. If the front office really wants to make changes, maybe one of those guys gets sent somewhere in a trade.
Tex says Ja Morant did eclipse Jake LaRavia with 50 games played and 47. If I'm discerning tone, I'm a pretty good discerner of tone.
I love that.
It cleared Jake LaRavia, Brett, by 3 games.
Ooh, yeah. Ugh. Well,
Jake LaRavia played his last game around 6th of February.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I guess good for Ja. We got a text in about the Grizzlies and OKC tonight. Grizzlies just don't have enough scoring 1 through 5 position players on the court during the game. On the other side, OKC does throughout the entire game, and that
1
is
through 11.
Exactly. I mean, they can go to their bench and bring guys off the bench. We talked about it yesterday. Isaiah Joe and Alex Caruso are coming off the bench for OKC right now, and those are two guys that would start at in a lot of teams in the NBA. And so they're just so deep, and right now the Grizzlies do not have that depth available, and some of those guys, at least in game 1, did not step up. I mentioned Santi Aldama. He's got to be better. Would love to see a pulse from Luke Kennard. It feels like we haven't really seen a pulse from Luke Kennard in a really long time. It'd be great if he could come in and knock down some shots.
Last certifiable pulse, late January, early February for Luke Kennard?
It was right before the trade deadline when everyone was talking about, do they trade him, do they keep him, and then he was hitting everything. It felt like there for 2 weeks he couldn't miss a single shot he threw up and kind of saved himself.
I texted Rob one night, said Luke Kennard could throw it in a swinging jug now.
I remember talking about it right before the trade deadline, and then trade deadline comes to pass, and then it's just right back to nothing.
Yeah.
So, man.
Just not much.
Not much at all. So,
and such a defensive liability. Again, roster construction, management of the franchise. It's bigger than Ja. It's sure bigger than Taylor Jenkins and poor Tomas Isolo.
Yeah, well, just a really bad position for him to be in, and that's the big question. If this is if this is kind of a get out there and see what we can do, see what you can do. If this is a trial run for him, he has failed it. You mentioned that yesterday.
Swing and miss.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very busy offseason for the Grizzlies, but we'll see what they can do tonight. Again, 6:30 on TNT, Grizzlies at Thunder. We'll see. Can the Grizzlies tie this series coming back to Memphis, or will it be 2-0 when the Grizzlies get back to the Bluff City? Well, we got to get to a break, and another reminder, keep on listening. Grizzlies payoff. If you weren't listening earlier when I mentioned this, we're giving away $98.50 right here on Sports 56 as long as the Grizzlies are alive in the playoffs. So make sure you keep listening because you don't know when we'll be giving away that money. Sponsors for that, Memphis Mold Inspector, the only licensed mold inspector in the Mid-South, and Club Car Wash. Get 25% off any membership for 12 months right now at clubcarwash.com. Again, keep on listening. Grizzlies playoff payoff. You never know. We might be giving away some money in the next hour, maybe in the third hour. Who knows? You got to stay tuned in. Let's get to a break, and when we return, we're talking college football with Brent Beard.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or on the road, so make sure you have the best. Bob Simpson State Farm Insurance can buckle you up with auto insurance, can back you up with life and health insurance, cover your business whether it's starting, growing, or maturing, and don't forget to insure your home, no matter if you're an owner or a renter. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call Bob Simpson today at 901-381-1233 or go online and get a free quote at bobsimpson.org. Stay protected with your good neighbor, Bob Simpson.
with John Burgess. John, what's going on in your rendezvous? Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet or steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family affair is still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's cranking it pretty good out here in a couple of spots going outbound on Sam Cooper. It's building through the Midtown area just in the last few minutes on 240 southbound at South Parkway. All that traffic pushes south of Memphis this time of day down 55 here at State Line Road, working your way down through South Haven into DeSoto County. Dandelions, nutgrass, crabgrass. Lawn Solution says, hey, we can get rid of all that, make your yard look so good, your neighbors will be jealous. Call Lawn Solutions right now at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. College football talk every Tuesday with Brent Beer, Heisman voter, and on Twitter X at Brent Beer. SEC, ACC, AAC, we talk it all with Brent. Here's Brent Beer with Bryant and Brent.
Brent Beer joins us now from First Coast News in Jacksonville. Talk college football. Plenty to get into today. Brent, thanks so much for joining us. We have a trade that went down in college football. Nico, he goes from Tennessee to UCLA. UCLA's quarterback that they got out of the transfer portal from App State, Joey Aguilar, he, after Nico makes his announcement, he enters the transfer portal. Now he is committed to Tennessee. What is Tennessee getting in Joey Aguilar? I saw some Heisman odds that said Joey Aguilar has better Heisman odds right now than Nico. So what is going on with this whole situation? Nico, Tennessee, now Tennessee getting a new quarterback from UCLA.
Well, I can tell you this, as a Heisman voter, neither one of them are getting it. So,
I got one, too. That's unanimous.
That's
2-zip.
Yeah, thank
Bang
you.
the gavel.
Yeah, I don't. Hey, Brett, if I was him, I wouldn't lose any sleep over the possibility.
No,
to say the least.
Don't start writing your Heisman speech.
It is about as bizarre of a situation as we've seen for a while. People are saying, well, who are these guys? Well, Joey Aguilar is a 2-year starter for Appalachian State who went to UCLA and was said to be the starter possibly. That obviously is out the window. Now the 6,000 yards, 56 touchdowns, 25 interceptions for Appalachian State. He was a starter there in 23 and 24. So it's not like he has no experience. Mm-hmm. So that's a real help. My stars, those numbers are way better than Nico's. But some people were laughing about the possibility of that. Now that it's come true, you still got Jake Mertlinger and George McIntyre as possibilities there. Also, and then Madden, Nico's younger brother, who's at Arkansas, now going there. Isn't that a little bit odd that they didn't want to play together in the beginning? Now they're going to be ended up playing. But I can tell you this, and you guys know this better than anybody. What if Nico's going to be not too excited after leaving 100,000 fans in the stands and going to UCLA and the Rose Bowl. They may have what, guys, 10 to 20,000 in the stands.
Yeah, closer to 10 to 20 people in the stands.
Yeah. Hey, could you in the Rose Bowl? Could you play tennis during the game and not hit anybody?
You could fire a flamethrower and not burn a soul in the stands at a lot of UCLA home games at the Rose Bowl Stadium. I always make a point to say at the Rose Bowl Stadium, there's a difference between going to the Rose Bowl Stadium and going to the Rose Bowl game.
True. Now, look, I'm glad I'm sitting down for this. Did I see, heaven forbid, where the Rose Bowl and the next playoff may be an hour earlier kickoff or did my eyes deceive me on that?
Well, I think they have to modify, and for years it was not the SEC holding up two-team playoff, four-team playoff. It was the respect and the reputation and the tradition of the Rose Bowl game kicking off at 4:30 Central Time as the sun starts to set behind the San Gabriel Mountains. Now that moves me. That means a lot to me. And if you've ever gone to a Rose Bowl game, I think you'd have I think people that haven't been would have a better appreciation for it having been, having gone to it. But I want the Rose Bowl game to be a part of the fabric of college football going forward and in the playoff mix, and it's going to have to move off some of its traditions too.
It is, and that's basically what the thing that I was getting into. Now, I was out there in 2009 for the Texas-Alabama National Championship game, and frankly,
that was the BCS championship game. That was not connected with the Rose Bowl game.
Correct. Yes. But that was a time that I was out there. Look, it's an awesome place. I mean, if you go, you're not going to find a brand new spick and span stadium. It's what it is, but that also makes it the legend that it also is. But I was just fascinated to see how they actually were able to change the time and willing to do that. That's coming up for this year.
Brent, I think the city of Los Angeles, I think it houses the cathedrals. You have the Rose Bowl Stadium, you have L.A. Memorial Coliseum. I think Dodger Stadium's way up there. Yeah. Wherever the Lakers are playing matters. Now what Ballmer has built, and now what Kroenke has built. I think it is the city of cathedrals of sport.
There has been talk, and I wouldn't have any problem with this, frankly, that the national championship game should be in the Rose Bowl. So, as far as tradition and all that goes along with it, we all remember Keith Jackson calling Rose Bowl games.
And Kurt Gowdy.
Oh, yes. I don't know if we would ever do that because to me these cities want the national championship game, but that would be appropriate to have it there.
I don't think they will for this reason because they have very much Super Bowl-ificationed. I just created 9 new words that didn't make any sense. But they've so Super Bowl homogenized, wanting that standalone city, whether it's Indianapolis or Detroit or Miami or Tampa or New Orleans, that I don't think after having the Rose Bowl game there a week and a half, 2 weeks before it, that they would ever put permanency to it hosting. I think if anything, they'd rather have it at Kroenke's edifice rather than at the Granddaddy.
Oh yeah, and I get that. And you've got the West Coast time difference, the travel, and all that goes along with it. So
just put everything in New Orleans. That's what we really all want, isn't it?
Look, and it'd be a lot more centrally located. People, all of us have been there 100 times. So sure.
Yeah. Well, it feels like we got to be getting some news soon about just anything playoff related.
Well, we will, or I suspect that we will. I mean, they are in these next. They started today. They've got 2 more days to where the college football playoff committee is going to be together. And I'm sure they're not in the Roach Motel either, by the way. But look, they've got 3 things that they're looking at: the seedings. Do they change these seedings and just go with the top 25 that they come out with? Will every league and Notre Dame sign this agreement to give near control for the Big Ten and the SEC? And obviously, the one thing we all want to know is, are we going from 12 to 14 or 12 to 16? So, when you narrow it down, that's what we're looking for. And Brian, that's a good question. I don't know if we'll have that settled this week either. I mean, hopefully they'll get something done with it. Now, my understanding is any changes for 2025 season, it will have to be unanimous, which is hard to believe that this crew will be unanimous about anything right now. And help me on this, Brett. I think starting in 26 through 31, it just has to be a majority.
I think you're right.
As far as decision making.
Heather Denish's reporting is that, and she is the point person. She really is the guru on all reporting, and that's her main job, is reporting on the college football playoff, and she does a good job. I do not know her. In fact, the only time I have ever met her, you introduced me to both she and Harry Lyles at SEC Media Days. The first year we were at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta when they had us over at the bad table in that little bitty room. We'll be back this year, and we'll actually be in the College Football Hall of Fame like we were last time. Atlanta really got it right. They really fixed it the second time. They'll have it right this year. So I don't know her, but I trust her reporting, and I sure trusted it in the years that Bill Hancock was the executive director of it, because she had a really good rapport with a very nice man.
Agree. And Bill is missed. There's no doubt about
Bill
that.
Is missed.
But he worked. Listen, he worked hard on all phases of college football and deserved some rest. And
he left it better than he found it.
He did. There's listen. The great thing about Bill Hancock was, and I'll be brief about this. Bill Hancock's a real human being. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could stop him in the hall. It may be brief, but you can have a conversation with him. He would often remember something about you or your family or something of that nature. And I'm just sorry that's. I'm not saying there aren't other people who do that there, but
that's right.
But he was.
Mm-hmm. They have to make decisions for this year. This year, I think it's going to be more seedings, and then you're right.
Yes.
After 26 on, the power structure, it's no more unanimity. It's really just Petiti, Sankey, Petiti after this year. Got to get through one more year of maybe not it being totally Big Ten SEC, but after that, it's going to be SEC Big Ten. And Brent, I go back on seedings. I know it's not going to happen, but here's what I want. Everybody wants to fight over how many at-larges, and usually that is code for how many non-Power 4 teams. For that. Here's what I want. I want 14 at-larges, 16 at-larges, and you go back historically, those teams would definitely, I think, have a easier path than just 1s and 2 spots.
They very well might. And I think what people are saying is, look, you guys put on this display every Tuesday night, starting in November, of having your top 25, and then you actually get to the playoffs and you go another direction almost. So why don't you just use what you've got? So that's kind of the logic you're hearing about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Talking to Brent Beard. He joins us every week, talk college football from First Coast News in Jacksonville. Brent, what did you make of the news last week? I believe it was Thursday when the news came out. Lee Corso, he'll do one more College Game Day week 1, and then that will be it. He'll be retiring from College Game Day.
Well, I mean, there's so many things you could say about Lee, and he was such a legend, and and really did a good job. I've one of the greatest quotes to me in college sports. People were talking to Lee about what he did for ESPN. He said in a great moment of transparency, "Look, I'm just stealing money." So, I mean, that's when you don't take yourself too seriously. And I mean, he carved what he's done with that will be there forever. Look, I mean, he's almost 90 years old. This is a win-win situation.
Yeah.
Brett and I have seen a lot of retirements, or at least quote-unquote retirements, that never went as smoothly as this one's going to. And that's actually good to see for both sides. I was quite concerned that what were they going to do with Lee if this had not have happened? Would they have just had him put on the mascot head in his backyard in Orlando? But this is something they have dealt with, and I really do think this works out for everyone, and there will be some real emotion in his last time on that first weekend.
They took it out on the road in '93. I think their first show on the road at a game was it was dubbed this, Catholics versus Convicts, Miami against Notre Dame. And then he started putting the head on, the helmet or whatever logo apparel. He started that in the 95 season. The first time I was ever at a game day that it was live, and it was an historic day, Brent, you were there too. We were at Legion Field, and the rumor was, I wouldn't say spreading, but among some, it was being told this could be it tonight for Gene Stallings.
That's right. I remember that well.
He could announce he's stepping away after the bowl game, and they were there, and the game day was there for the Iron Bowl. And then during the game, it was just a matter of fact, don't get in a hurry post game because Coach Stallings is going to make a big announcement. And he did. That was the first time I ever saw him out, and it was just absolutely a sight to see. It was magical. At that time, I think they were only trying to do – they might have brought it up to 2 hours. It might have still just been a tight hour. And it just was so good out there and how they did it. And then it became so popular, and they could monetize it and make so much money off of it. It went to 2 and it went to 3. And now it might be a little long for some of the profiles and special packages they put on. I do wish, and all the stories have been great. And I think after Tom Rinaldi, they've turned it down a little, but they still go to. And our friend Alan Bell on Friday, Brian, he likes to say, why do we have to go funeral home sad at college football? I wish we would move a little bit away from some of the tearjerker stories that bring a good story out to tell.
Definitely.
But that's not really what I want on Saturday morning at college football. I want to be going crazy.
Brett, I don't want it there, and I don't want it at the draft. That's when you get it. Both those places.
True.
I don't need them at either of those places.
All good stories.
Yes.
I think all should be told. But I don't think we need to go into how great thou art playing in the background at the funeral home.
No, thank you.
No, absolutely not. I would agree.
No more than I want somebody running around in a Brutus head at the funeral home.
Right. Yeah.
Those two things.
We got to get them straight as far as how appropriate they are. Someone asked me this morning, "Are you going to watch the draft?" I said, "Look, the first day is always very intriguing to me, but as far as sitting there and watching." Well, he's a tweener. He's got great potential. His mama makes butter beans that you've got to try one day. Look, I can take some of that, but there was a guy here years ago, and he died a few years, but he had a radio show, and his name was Greg Larson. And Greg was an old newspaper guy, and he made a really great point that I thought of over the years. He said, the draft is one of the last true newspaper stories. And what he meant by that is it's probably best told in print because you can see the enormity of it on the page as compared to breaking it down for 3 days. So, but to your point, we're going to hear a lot of those stories with either Kleenex or whatever that we need to use during the draft too.
I think where he ends up, like a lot of players, it really matters. Bo Nix couldn't have gotten a better marriage than going to a place and being schooled and trained and pushed by Sean Payton. A lot of rookie quarterbacks, it goes the wrong way for them, ending up in a spot that's not conducive for them. For Jalen Milroe, I think where really will matter. Brent, this is the first time I'm going to say this over airwaves, and I don't mean it to pile on anyone. He had the biggest shoes ever to fill.
Yeah.
Kalen DeBoer did a really poor job last year with Jalen Milroe. I've said it to people off the air. That's the first time I've ever said it on the air. He did a really poor job last year with Milroe.
It was a really difficult year for Milroe, and I'll be honest with you. I know he is going there, and if the NFL invites you there, you can't turn it down. But my concern for Milroe is, and again, all it takes is one to fall in love with the way you can run the ball. But I mean, his inconsistency of throwing the ball. My concern is that we see Milroe there for 2 days, and he's just waiting, and doesn't get picked until later.
Yeah,
I thought his mechanics, pocket habits got poor last year. We know a mantra of Coach Saban and every offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach he's ever hired. And remember, he would always hire people and go, "You run our system. We don't hire a new OC and we go to your system. You run ours." But the biggest thing, in the pocket, feeling any pressure, 2 hands on the ball. I hear it from Lane Kiffin constantly about that. And I would see Milroe last year just running around like he was playing flag football and throwing a Nerf ball. We're just trying to deal with it one-handed, and it was driving me crazy and had to be driving Coach Saban crazy.
No question.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see where all these guys end up on Thursday, and hopefully next week, Brent, when we talk to you, maybe we'll have a better idea of what the college football season will look like in terms of playoff and all of that. Maybe, maybe not, but as always, really appreciate you coming on with us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
And both the transfer portals for basketball and football end this week.
That's right.
So, hallelujah.
I think we're all ready for that.
Yes.
I don't know what it really means, but I think it's good.
I think so.
Yeah, really?
I think it means it'll calm down a little bit, but I still don't know if I believe that.
Yeah. Well, and you'll still have people in the portal making moves. But what I hope it means is, well, we can talk more about the coming season instead of who's in the portal every minute.
Right.
We'll
and you see that all over Twitter.
Oh, yeah. It's everywhere.
Thank you, Brent.
Thanks, Brent.
My pleasure, guys. Take care.
You got it. Brent Beard with us every Tuesday, talking college football from down at First Coast News in Jacksonville. I know everybody wants to know what to drive and where to get it from, and I got the answer. Where the deals are, where the best deals are. That's All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. And you can save thousands right now on your new Silverado truck. Go to All-Star, first exit. After you cross into Mississippi on Highway 78, take Kraft Goodman Road, and that's where the deals are, like financing as low as 2.9 for 72 months on that new Silverado truck. A new 2500 HD with financing as low as 3.9, no payments for 90 days. That means no payments basically until the end of summertime. Your good credit deserves it. And you get it at All-Star, where all the late model pre-owns you can imagine, they're there. If you're law enforcement, first responder, healthcare worker, educator, recent grad, military, and we're getting ready to have a bunch of recent grads, I think it's close enough that you'll qualify. You get an extra $500 bonus back instantly. All the Camaros, Equinox, Tahoes, Suburbans, and a ton of Silverados among those pre-owns. And if you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star, whether you bought it there or not, and you'll get the best deal for it from Drew DePriest and his great team at All-Star Chevrolet and everyone at All-Star. We all love this time of year. Hope everybody's had a great Easter month and into spring, and we're getting close to graduation time. Together, let's drive to All-Star, and for more information, go to allstarautogroup.com. sportstime.com.
Well, we need to get to another break. When we return, we got to talk more about the NBA playoffs, talk about some of the other games that took place last night and the games that take place tonight. Two really fun games last night, and hopefully we get some good action again tonight. I think we will. Bucks and Pacers will be intriguing. T-Wolves and Lakers will certainly be fun. We'll see what the Grizzlies can do against the Thunder. We'll talk all of that next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Wally Hatchet serves breakfast all day and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelets, breakfast Sammys, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf are one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets. Count your blessings, not your calories.
Spring is here, and it's the perfect time to give your home a little love with Choate's $93 spring deals. Got a slow or smelly drain? We'll clear it for just $93, or it's free if we can't. Also, your home's electrical system is working 24/7 behind the walls, and an inspection from Choate's can help catch hidden dangers before they become big problems. We're talking about outdated or overloaded panels, loose wiring that can spark fires, improper grounding or GFCI protection, breaker issues, flickering lights, and more. Our licensed electricians will perform a full home safety check, identify risks, and give you a plan to keep your family safe and your power running strong. All for just $93. Call 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com to book your appointment today. Choates Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical. Let our family serve your family.
Hey, everybody, want to know where all the Chevys are? Where all the deals are? Right here in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. Save thousands on your new Silverado truck. Financing as low as 2.9 for 72 months. A new 2500 HD has financing as low as 3.9 and no payments for 90 days. Nothing beats having no payments most of the summer. Absolutely nothing. You could take an extra vacation, and your good credit deserves it. If you're law enforcement, first responder, healthcare, military, education, recent grad, you get an extra $500 bonus. And All-Star has all the late model pre-owns you're looking for. Camaro, Equinox, Tahoe, Suburban, and tons of Silverados. And if you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it here to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch and get the most money for it today. Everyone here at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch asked me to wish you and your family a very happy Easter month. So together, let's drive, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Air. We breathe it naturally. Simple, right? Not so fast. The air you breathe could be hazardous to your health. Don't guess. Be sure with a phone call to the Memphis Mold Inspector, the only licensed mold assessor in the Mid-South. Call the Memphis Mold Inspector to check the air quality inside your home and office. Protect babies, pets, new homes, old homes, employees, friends, loved ones, and you. Just call 901-292-7788 for clean air and peace of mind. 901-292-7788 for the Memphis Mold Inspector.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a moving that fully fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Good afternoon. They were moving a stalled truck a few minutes ago on 55 on the bridge. It's already busy now this time of the afternoon, especially coming across the 55 bridge and the I-40 bridge in and out of West Memphis. Starting to get heavier over here on 240 eastbound as you work your way past Poplar. It's only going to get busier in the next 15-20 minutes on 40 east from Sycamore View Road all the way out to Germantown Parkway. Dandelions, crabgrass, Lawn Solutions says, hey, they can get rid of all that. Call Lawn Solutions right now at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. We're going to talk NBA playoffs. Want to get to both games from last night, talk a little bit about the games tonight. But before we do that, we've been telling you all week about the Grizzlies playoff payoff, and now it's time to pay off some of that money. Again, $98.50 every single day. The Grizzlies are alive in the playoffs. You don't know when it's going to come. You don't know what show it's going to come on, but it's coming right now. We're going to do it. $98.50. We got a little bit of Grizzlies trivia. Brett's going to give you that in a second. I want to thank our sponsors, Memphis Mold Inspector, the only licensed mold inspector in the Mid-South, and Club Car Wash. Get 25% off any membership for 12 months right now at clubcarwash.com. Text in your answer to this trivia question for the chance to win $98.50. First correct answer gets it. The Sissy's Log Cabin listener line, 901-360-8255. Brett, our Grizzlies trivia question of the day.
It is this: the Grizzlies' first playoff win, not first playoff appearance, first playoff win. Who was the opposing coach?
Okay.
It's already been mentioned today. Tried to tease it a little bit. Who was the opposing coach for the Grizzlies' long-awaited first playoff win?
All right. So, yeah, text that in, 901-360-8255. All right.
Another clue?
Give us another clue.
He was also the coach of the Grizzlies' first playoff opponent. That was a loss.
All right.
That was a sweep.
Okay. All right. So, if you remember all of that, then
you got all that, and
wow.
You got $98.50 coming.
Just like that, we got a winner. Greg Popovich is the answer. Wow. That was fast. That was really fast. So we've got our winner. We'll contact you how to get that winning. I mean, somebody was ready for that. That was really impressive.
It was almost faster than I asked.
I was about to say. I mean, I think I was still giving away the text line number, and we had the answer come in. So congratulations to that. Again, Landon will get your information, and we will hook you up with that winning.
And it was the tale of two series and long awaited. The first playoff year, that first 50-win year at the Pyramid, lost the first two games. Back home it was against Pop and Duncan. You know, those guys I rattled off earlier. Wasn't anything called the Thunder. Mm-hmm. It was the San Antonio Spurs, and that night instead of it was towels. I think it was growl towels, or maybe it was towels.
Yeah, I think so.
And everybody just waving them to beat the band, and whatever kind of lint or whatever was on the towels. I mean. I've never worn contacts in my life, but everybody that had contacts on was just digging to beat the band because that lint was, and everybody in there was a film in there. So you went that year getting swept, went the second trip to the playoffs against Joe Johnson and the Phoenix Suns, got swept, then went against Dallas and Dirk, got swept. Then a long wait until finally back in the playoffs, and in 2011, and Shane Battier hitting that jumper down in San Antonio to get that first win, and that ultimately was off to the races of pulling the upset, 8 over the 1, and all the playoff moments. I heard the voice of the Grizzlies, Eric Hasseltine radio voice on with Greg and Eli last Friday morning, and Greg asked him all the games called, what is the moment, and he had one, but my answer is Zebo's rainbow jumper to win Game 6, to eliminate him in Game 6, because if we had gone back down there, probably we beat them in 2011 on a Friday night. Media seating then was different than it is now, a little bit lower other end of the arena, kind of that half moon area down in the other end of the arena, and it felt like I could see could look Zebo in the eyes from where I was sitting, and the ball in the air forever. Kind of reminded me a little bit of how long the ball was in the air for Scotty Thurman's jumper for Arkansas to beat Duke in '94.
Oh, wow.
And I was glad when both of them splashed down. It goes in, game ops hits, you drop the bomb by the Gap Band almost immediately. Party was on. It was the Friday night of Beale Street Music Fest, and I mean it was rocking.
Yeah, no, I mean
That's
those
mine.
were those were some
And Zebo,
really good
my
times.
Favorite player.
Oh
ever.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and just thinking back to some of those environments and some of those games. I mean, I remember. I think my favorite series were the ones against the Clippers at the time. When they had Blake Griffin and Chris Paul, and how heated those games would get. I mean, that was a really good time.
Very heated.
Very
it eliminated them in 2013 on the way to the Western Conference Finals, and that was the night that Whoop That Trick was born, that Friday night of that series, and it was very contested and in your face. But this Saturday, 2:30 game, that's my favorite playoff tip time, is that Saturday afternoon, 2:30. Bright sunshine going in the arena, I hope. With the forecast, it may not be. Bright sunshine going in the arena, same coming out. And in 2011 against Oklahoma City, that was the Sam Young game, that Saturday afternoon game.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man, I forgot about that, but you're absolutely right. But I don't know. Hopefully tonight is a little better for the Grizzlies. But those games last night, I mean, that was a great night of playoff basketball. I don't think the NBA could have asked for anything better.
Fun Monday.
That first game, Knicks and Pistons, really mentioned it earlier, started to play out like that first game played out, where Pistons with the lead, in control. Then Thompson goes out with his sixth foul. Exact same thing that happened in game one. He's a guy that really good defensively, just like his brother Amin, who is down in Houston. Both really good defensive guards, and his matchup was Jalen Brunson. So he fouls out, and then you see this Knicks team really get the momentum. Felt like they might be able to come back. Dennis Schroeder knocks down a massive three late. Cade Cunningham was awesome all night, and Mikal Bridges tries to get a three up at the end of the game. Really tough look. They end up losing, and then that second game, Denver and the Clippers, a game that kind of played out the same way, where Denver's trying to find a three ball to tie that game and send it into overtime. Jokic gets the rebound, tries to dribble it out and throw up a three, just couldn't get anything to fall. Two really fun games last night.
In both of those series, you could make a case, either side, somebody could be claiming, all of them could be claiming, we should be up 2-0.
Yeah.
But I think it's right. I think these are 1-1,
Mm-hmm.
going 7, going the long haul series.
Yeah, no, I think both of these games have been so back and forth and so competitive. I mean, I mentioned it. Pistons now in both games have led late. Now, game 2 they were able to win. Game 1 they ultimately lost that game, and then the second game, both games have been super back and forth. Neither team really able to get a big lead or really run away with either of these two games. So, yeah, I think there's that argument for both sides just because of how close both games have been of, we should be up 2-0. I think Pistons-Knicks, both teams have an argument of we should be up 2-0. I mean, the Pistons could very easily be up 2-0 if they don't give up a 21-0 run in game 1. But I think you're right. I think both of these series, they are where they need to be at 1-1.
Do you accept the premise of, in sport, the clutch gene?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, if anybody's got it, Kawhi Leonard does.
Man, he was incredible last night. I mean, it's crazy to think of what he does and how he does it, and when with all of these injuries still able to be that type of player, and you saw it last night for the Clippers. I mean, without him out there, they don't win that game last night, and he was awesome. 39 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, couple steals, altered a lot of shots with his length. He was incredible in that game.
So the proverbial something's got to give. We talk about if you accept the clutch gene,
Sure.
we talk about people having it. Kawhi Leonard's got it, doesn't he?
Kawhi Leonard absolutely has it.
We'd never associate James Harden as having it, would we?
No. I
Not
don't
at
think
playoff
so.
time.
Not at playoffs. No, maybe in the regular season, sure, but not at playoffs.
Well, they're on the same team.
That's true. Yeah.
What wins out?
Oh,
The one that has it or the one that's been questioned about?
I would hopefully say the one that has it. I mean, get Kawhi Leonard the ball and get out of the way.
Who are some other guys in the playoffs right now you would say are clutch gene
Jimmy
types?
Butler. Jimmy
No
Butler's
doubt.
got the clutch gene for
Mhm.
sure. Those are the two that jump
Chris
out.
Paul didn't at
Chris
playoff
Paul,
time.
No, he did not.
Does not.
I think Luka is in that category. I don't think you see it as much, but I think he's hit a lot of clutch shots in the playoffs.
LeBron's got every gene.
He's got them all. But LeBron,
It's not real.
If you're going to make any argument against him, sometimes he likes to pass up on that big time shot. And but no, I mean,
Most deferential superstar ever.
oh yeah, no, he absolutely
I mean,
is.
you always forever. Who do you think you're passing it to that's better than you?
Nobody. No, I mean you.
But he plays the right way.
He does. He absolutely does. But Jordan would never pass up those shots. Yeah, Jordan's
Kobe
taking
wouldn't
it.
either.
No. Who's going to take that shot more, Kobe or MJ? I mean,
Kobe Bryant.
It's going to be Kobe Bryant every single time.
Born to take that shot.
Born to take it. And so I mean there are a handful of guys in the playoffs right now that I think have it. And I think, you talk about, I mentioned Jimmy Butler. I think it was incredible to hear a lot of those quotes after the game from the Warriors saying, there's a sense of calmness at late in games when Jimmy Butler is on the court for us. It's not just get Steph Curry the ball and hope that he can be a hero like he is so many times. You now have him that can make those shots, and then you can give it over to Jimmy Butler, and he has that knack of late game heroics and being able to make the right play. So they're a scary out this year.
Well, Golden State's almost team clutch gene.
Yeah, they definitely are. And, I think the question was...
Steve Kerr had it as a player.
He sure did, and now it feels like he has it as a coach. I don't know if that translates from player to coach, but it seems like he has it. But, you look at that and some of those guys getting older, adding Jimmy Butler, the questions out there around trade deadline of, oh, look at what he's doing in Miami, and, who would really want this guy on their team? Golden State said, we'd love to have him, and it's really paying off for them right now.
Tonight, NBA TV, Bucks at Pacers. Pacers up 1-0. Then Grizzlies Thunder on TNT at 6:30. And the last game on TNT, the final game, third and final game of the night, Lakers minus 5.5 over Minnesota. Very rare for the Lakers to be in MUST games, must-win games. This one is tonight.
This feels like it. This is a big one. We talked about this game for game one from over the weekend, and really the big thing that jumped out to me was what Minnesota was able to do in the paint. I think it was something like 44 points in the paint for them, and Jackson Hayes, who is the Lakers starting center, only playing 8 minutes, was unplayable in that game. They really don't have another center option on that roster. You got to go small. You got to get better minutes from Jackson Hayes, and that's always been the concern. You go all the way back to trade deadline when they tried to go out and acquire Mark Williams, and because of failed physicals, sent him back to Charlotte. And then because the trade deadline had already passed, well, they're just kind of sitting there with Jackson Hayes as their starting center. You got to have better interior front court play from the Lakers tonight. You can't give up all those points in the paint to Minnesota, or they're going to beat you again, and now you're going to go to Minnesota down 2-0.
Austin Reeves is a great story. His basketball story is really wonderful. But I can't stand him on defense. Now, he's on the Lakers, so it makes it work. You put him on a lot of other teams, his defensive liability is so pronounced that on other teams that didn't have somebody like LeBron James on it, left by himself, I don't think you could afford to play him a lot.
Yeah, who would have thought that being on a team with LeBron James and Luka Doncic that you can get away with some issues in your game, with some flaws. But I mean, there's a couple guys out there. I mean, you go back to Jackson Hayes.
But he can't cover anybody.
No, he can't. And they have liabilities. There are some guys out there in that starting lineup that sometimes they don't show up. Rui Hachimura at times. I love Rui Hachimura. Sometimes he's an issue out there on the court. But you've got those two superstars, and it covers it up a little bit.
Real quick, I know we're up against the break. I know you were not wild about the Zach Edey pick. Do you still kind of wish the Grizzlies had taken Dalton Connect?
Maybe a little bit, just with some of
in time. Do you think he burns us in 4 or 5 years?
He could. I mean, shooting usually translates, and I know he hasn't gotten the opportunity this year, but that guy can shoot. And the Grizzlies have had trouble with 3-point shooting this year, and so I think you'd love to have a guy like that can knock him down. No, I'm not saying Zach Edey, he fills a role that you needed. You had to have a center on this team, but there are definitely questions there, and you would hate for that guy to be the guy that burns you in later down the road, a guy like Dalton Knecht. But we'll see how these games play out. Again, Pacers up 1-0, OKC up 1-0, Minnesota up 1-0. Going to be a really fun night in the NBA. Well, let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Tito's handmade vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its community and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet to steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family affair is still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous. Getaway
acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 12,000 miles per year, $49.99 due at signing. Must finance through KFA, K4, SEO 87349, MSRP 25320, Storage S719 2005, MSRP 30660, Telluride SG 596204, MSRP 41060. Includes all rebates and incentives, fee of 895, excludes tax title and license with approved credit, dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 5/2/25.
Hey, I got my buddy on the line. Hey, Jeff Allen, it's always awesome to see what's going on over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah. What you got up your sleeve?
I'm making magic, Randy. I've got a new ride under $6 a day. 2025 Kia K4 LXS, $159 a month. 2025 Kia Sportage EX, $269 per month. And get more power, larger cargo area than a Nissan Pathfinder in a 2025 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive, $398 a month. All $49.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
Plus, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
We're online at KiaMountMoriah.com.
Showboats fans, the boats are back in action at Boat Liberty Stadium on Sunday, May 11th as they face the St. Louis Battlehawks with kickoff scheduled for 2 p.m. Come see all the football action of the UFL and join us as we celebrate our mascot Skipper's birthday. Treat Mom to a Mother's Day she'll never forget with more fun, more excitement, and more Showboats football. Get your tickets today at UFLShowboats.com. That's UFLShowboats.com. Go Boats!
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, for water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates not available in all states. Potential savings will vary. Sports time on Sports
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, my big number today is the number 11, and it has to do with Landon's baseball team, the New York Mets. I saw this last night. The Mets are the first team in the modern era, which we know is since 1901. Doesn't feel very modern. I have to bring that up every time we talk about the modern era. I think we need to get a little more modern.
Modern era didn't have cars
exactly.
when it started.
Let's get a little more modern, MLB. Let's speed that up a little bit.
What would be what do you think we should? I think it should be when we had full integration.
I'm with you. That feels like a lot more modern than 1901.
That's not just Jackie Robinson.
Sure.
That's Monty Irvin and Roy Campanella and Don Newcomb and more players. I would 55, 60.
That feels a lot better than 1901. I mean, you know how much has happened since 1901? I mean, the whole world has changed in 50 million times since 1901. But, whatever. If that's what they want to call the modern era. But they're the first team in the modern era to have their starting pitchers allow fewer than 15 runs. They've allowed 13 and no homers in their first 11 home games of the season. So the Mets starting pitching has been phenomenal, especially in home games. Again, only 13 runs and no home runs. That's really impressive.
Brian, I didn't know this. So when the new pope is selected, since year one, I mean, in 2025 years, do you know how many? I had no clue. You know how many popes it's been?
I have no clue.
In 2025 years, this will be the 267th.
Holy cow!
And for a long time, the pope until the 1200s, the pope could be married.
Oh wow! Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
This will be the 7th pope in my life. After I heard that, it inspired me to go count and see.
How about that?
And yeah,
I don't know much about the popes, but I do know we're getting a new one.
Getting a new one, and will be the 267th.
Wow, how about that? 267, big 267.
So I guess that would be 267 divided by 2025. That'd be the average length of their papacy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow, that's more. Baseball's got to tighten that modern era.
They got to tighten it up. I mean, what are we doing?
NFL did with Super Bowl.
Sure did.
And I kind of am sad about. We're probably already there. The NFL really doesn't even recognize pre Super Bowl.
No. Everything is the Super Bowl era now.
But you can't go to Green Bay for the draft and not recognize that pre-Super Bowl era, because that was the start of Lombardi.
That's right.
And speaking of Green Bay, that's my big number. My big number is the number 7, the NFL draft in Green Bay. The Packers, they've been drafting since 1936, but only 7 times have they taken first-round quarterbacks.
Oh, wow.
Only 1 time was that a first-round quarterback, number 1 overall, first round number 1 overall, and that was Randy Duncan in 1959. That was in the middle of the star years. They were kind of looking for somebody to maybe push Bart Starr. It was Randy Duncan. They've only had the number 1 overall pick 2 times.
Wow.
They had it in 59, took Randy Duncan from Iowa. They had it 2 years before that.
Wow.
And they took the golden boy, Paul Hornung.
Yep.
And he was a lot of that pre-Super Bowl history.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. But that's a really good point. You cannot just honor the Super Bowl era if you are going and doing a draft.
What's the NBA modern era?
Oh, that is a great question.
Magic Bird?
I would say so. Yeah, that feels like a good
new TV deal.
Point. Yeah,
the end of delayed late night finals games. Can you believe that?
That's insane. No, I cannot believe it. I'll tell you, Brett. I cannot.
We had watch parties of a result we knew of.
Well, I love
I wouldn't say parties, but we gathered and watched.
My favorite. You watched the Miracle on Ice on delay, right?
Yes,
right. That's crazy.
The actual game went off about 4:30 Central.
That's insane.
And then we watched it as if live, not knowing the result at 7, and the whole country.
I mean, it's still similar to that now, where if it's, the Olympics on the other side of the world, they'll show it prime time, but we at least know what happened. We have live everything.
But it was not widely known.
Huh.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's very weird. Time has certainly changed.
Some did know of a result, but I'm going to say the game ended about 4:30 or 5 real time.
Wow.
So even like the evening news may or may not have covered it that widely.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's a good story right there.
But that's 45 years ago.
Yeah. Lots
And
changed.
I let February 22nd get by me without mentioning it this year, didn't I?
You did.
I usually don't do that.
No, you don't. But
Maybe the first time since that day.
Wow. Yeah, it was a big one. It was a really big one. But, yeah, no, it is.
Well, it was a Saturday. That's why I didn't mention it.
That's true. You're right. It was a Saturday because I remember seeing a bunch of stuff about it and saying, "Oh man, we're not in studio today where we can talk about it and play the sound from it and all the great stuff."
We really kind of honor it every day with the Loop.
Yeah. Oh, we sure do. We get it in there. We get it in there when we can. But speaking of that, speaking of hockey, your Leafs go tonight. So,
and my Jets won last night.
Sure did. I mean, things are going well for you right now,
My teams.
Mr. Hockey expert Brett Norsworthy.
I've been a Jet fan all of 3 days.
Yeah, entire 3 days. I mean, you have been there through the good times and the bad.
But really been there through the year with the Leafs.
Oh yeah.
Leaves.
Oh, all the time, asking me to update you on the standings when I don't even know where they're at in the standings. Turns out they had one of their best seasons.
Do they call them head coach or managers?
It's head coach.
Couldn't tell you the head coach of either my Jets or the Leafs.
Couldn't tell you. Can't tell you who the Krakens is either because they fired him.
I saw that. I couldn't tell you a head coach in the league.
Wow. You're
But
not much
hockey
better
expert.
than me. Yeah, the hockey expert. I mean, when you win hockey picks, you have to be
expert stats.
That's right. You have to be the expert on
like
that.
Landon's expert golf stats right now.
Good Lord. I mean, I'm not ready for tomorrow afternoon. Whoever Landon picks with his first pick, just put money on him to win. I mean, it feels like 100%.
Team competition this week.
Yeah, that's right. Team competition this week, and so it's going to be a lot of fun when we pick golf tomorrow. Well, before we get to this break and wrap up this second hour, let me remind you of Frontier Western Store. Perfect opportunity this week or even this weekend to head out there and check out all of the new selections at Frontier Western Store. Family owned and operated since 1967, Frontier Western is your one-stop shop for the biggest brands like Carhartt, Wrangler, and so much more. Check out Frontier's world-famous boot showroom. Whether it's work boots or dress boots, Frontier has you covered for the entire family with plenty in-stock proven classics like Ariat, Dan Post, and Durango. Frontier Western Store, I mentioned it, I'll mention it again. They're the one-stop shop for Carhartt in the Mid-South, and they've also got you covered with thousands of new shirts and jeans, all the brands you can think of. Need a new pair of jeans? Frontier has you covered with their newest selection. Get the newest brands like Wrangler and Ariat, and you'll love how easy it is to find the perfect size and style for you. Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know you'll be getting the best deals. Head down to 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch to check out the whole selection. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sunday, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. for Frontier Western Store. Let's go ahead and get to another break, wrap up this second hour, and when we return, we're talking NFL with Bo Marchant.
Welcome to Fat Larry's in Bartlett. Come in today for award-winning barbecue and so much more. Catfish, steak burgers, chicken, certified prime Angus beef steaks, along with all the sides, homemade rolls, delicious desserts, beer, and service that is out of this world. Fat Larry's cooks everything made to order just for you. Dine in or order online at fatlarrys.com. We're the best barbecue, southern cooking, and friendly atmosphere in town. Family owned and proud of it. Fat Larry's, conveniently located at 7537 Highway 70, just west of Appling.
Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pool starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in-bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure. Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
The secret to getting endless hot water at home. Go tankless with Navien. Navien tankless water heaters provide endless hot water for spa-like comfort. How? They heat water on demand, right when you need it, instead of wasting energy by storing it in a tank, which means you get instant hot water that never, ever runs out. Right now, save hundreds on Navien tankless water heaters with local rebates. It's easy. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com. That's tanklessmadesimple.com.
Showboats fans, the boats are back in action at Boat Liberty Stadium on Sunday, May 11th, as they face the St. Louis Battlehawks with kickoff scheduled for 2 p.m. Come see all the football action of the UFL and join us as we celebrate our mascot Skipper's birthday. Treat Mom to a Mother's Day she'll never forget with more fun, more excitement, and more Showboats football. Get your tickets today at UFLShowboats.com. That's UFLShowboats.com. Go Boats!
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family. This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting to build already on 240 East from Mill Branch out to 385 Billmore Parkway as you head out towards Collierville. It's trying its best to get a little bit busy through Midtown. Just in the last few minutes on 240 South, especially over here at Union and South Parkway. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters. Go by and see them and shop local at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is Original Sports Station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Once again,
You say you stand by your man. Tell me something.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. We're only a couple days away from the NFL Draft, so let's go ahead and talk some NFL with Bo Marchant.
National Football League talk every Tuesday with Bo Marchant, covering the NFL Draft at collegetopro.com and the NFL Draft Bible, covering the Steelers for Sports Illustrated, living and running in Eastern Ohio, and on Twitter X at Bo Marchant. Here's Bo with Bryant and Brett.
Bo Marchant joins us now to talk the NFL. It feels like a lot of the conversation is going to be about the NFL Draft that gets kicked off Thursday night in Green Bay. And Bo, I've seen a lot of mock drafts this morning, even some yesterday, that are showing Shedeur Sanders sliding down the draft boards. I've seen some mock drafts where he's going late in the first round to the Steelers. I've seen some where he's going at the very end of the first round with a team like the Giants trading up into the first round, take him. I've seen some that have him out of the first round. What are you hearing? What are you seeing about Shedeur Sanders? Where do you think he'll go Thursday night?
Well, I can tell you this. I did speak with one source, NFL employee, however you want to put that. And as we discussed, it wasn't a long, lengthy conversation, but I asked about the quarterbacks, and he said he wouldn't be surprised if there's only one quarterback taken on Thursday night.
Wow.
Now, that doesn't mean if I had more sources and I could talk to other people, they would say, no, I expect three or two or one. So that was just that particular conversation. And I hate those particular conversations because it's such a, crazy answer because, we all assume, Ward will be one and then Sanders. does he go in the top 10? Does he slip to 15? Do the Steelers take him at 21? Does the team move back into round one and take him? But we'll see. I think the way that last year's draft went, I think Anthony Richards going 4 a couple years ago, and then the way the Falcons signed Kirk Cousins and then drafted Michael Penix, moved up to take Penix, the Broncos taking Bo Nix. And when Bo Nix and Penix went off the board, we have to look back at draft night that in that particular moment, it was mind-blowing. There was like everyone, all the pundits, everybody was mind-blown that not that they weren't first-rounders, but that early. And I think on the same token, if I'm sitting there Thursday night and I see Shadur Sanders go to Cleveland at 2, I won't be shocked. I doubt it happens. Will I be shocked if he goes 3 to the Giants? No. Will I be shocked if he goes to the Steelers at 21? No. Will I be shocked if the Cleveland Browns and New York Giants move in to the 29th pick, hypothetically, and take him there? I won't be shocked. So I hate coming on and not having a more solidified answer, but I really believe that this draft in particular, which I really like because it's a deep class and there's some great players in it, and I think teams, it's really how teams preview or, look at those guys that they like. And you just hypothetically, just say you guys love player B, I love player C, and Brett loves player D. They all play the same position. Well, we value them the same. So, if they're on the board, we don't know which way we're going to go. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but that's the way I'm kind of taking this draft is, it's going to be a wild night. It's going to be ready for the unexpected. Be ready for a chaotic night where you kind of shake your head and go, wow, I can't believe that just happened.
Bo, years ago, but not that many years ago, Bill Parcells famously, I'm paraphrasing, said, we can only play and select quarterbacks that they prepare and they give us. Well, we've seen the NFL really change to a lot more run quarterback. Used to, because of the rules and other things, there was just no way these quarterbacks could run like that. They'd get broken in half. And to ask Troy Aikman, Barry Switzer tried to ask him to run at Oklahoma, but he didn't try to ask him to run with the Dallas Cowboys. You just knew that wasn't why they had him. You knew what Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and so many other classic, more statue type quarterbacks, Eli, that they had. Now college is producing a lot more run first even than passing. If we go a year without a quarterback in the first round, we go a couple years without that. We got to have a quarterback. We could really get these offenses down to some basic, high school offenses.
Yeah. I just think, just like the Kenny Pickett year, we have one quarterback taken, and then look last year, I think we set a record, 6 or 7. So, and it's like running backs. It's just the value of the position each season. And for whatever reason, Carson Beck elected to go back to school. There was a point that, he was the number one guy quarterback. I know we discussed it on this show. Is Beck going to be the number one pick in 2025? And, you don't know this far out. And, he wouldn't have been even if he.
I had him winning the Heisman.
Yeah. So it's that type of stuff. Quarterbacks come, go. But this is a softer class of quarterbacks than, but it's much better. And the one thing I do like about this class, and it's hard because the pedigree of that number one, it reigns supreme, especially at quarterback. You could go through all 32 teams, and barring some oddball thing like a Tom Brady or Russell Wilson, they're all a number one pick. And the way the NFL has been lately, it's the number one pick of the entire draft. It's just the way it's worked out. But with that said, when you look at, the quarterback position and the draft and the value, I just believe it's the teams want that value. They want the best position in terms of that quarterback with the highly desired guy. But this class, the Kyle McCords, the Will Howards, the Tyler Suggs, I think there's a lot of fun prospects in here where maybe, a preferred name gets hurt this upcoming season, and one of these young guys maybe get an opportunity and they seize the moment, like a Russell Wilson or some of the names I mentioned. So, and that's the part I really love about the quarterback class this year is, we have some guys that we've talked about in Shadur Sanders, Cam Ward, and Dart, and then there's a big, big drop-off. And And you think about the drop off from Ward to Sanders to Dart. I mean, it's pretty extensive. You know, we opened the show saying, you know, Ward we assume goes 1. We might not have any other guys at that position go on Thursday night, which is kind of astonishing thinking about it 2 days away, and think about the lead up heading into this. And you know, and then even at one point, you know, Sanders was neck and neck with Cam Ward vying for that top spot in terms of, you know, mock drafts and public opinion, et cetera, et cetera. So I say it every year, and next year if we're doing this, I'm going to tell you the same thing, but I really love this class. I think it's deep all over. The running backs, they're deep tackles, deep. The defensive backs, they're a good class, but they have the guys that are, a lot of these, even Will Johnson, Revel from East Carolina, Matt Harrison, a lot of these guys were hurt, but I think if they were completely healthy and didn't have any dings, I think you would see their draft stock substantially higher than it is here on the 22nd of April.
Bo, let's go past even a year from now. Let's say we know Cam Ward is going to be drafted number 1 by the Titans, and let's say he has a 10-year career with the Titans. Number 1 overall at quarterback at the end of 10 years, what should they have expected out of him? How far should they have gotten with him?
That's a tough question. You know, I think we'd have to just say how much success are we going to get out of the Tennessee Titans front office. I think that's where I would go. You know, is Brian Callahan the guy? And, you know, Nick Holtz, their OC, is he going to be able to develop Cam Ward along with Callahan's style of play? And are they going to get this thing up to speed quick enough? You know, you're talking about a 3-14 team last year.
You shouldn't expect a Super Bowl out of him, though, should you?
You know, that's the hope. I think you're expecting a Super Bowl run, maybe an AFC championship. You know,
I'm with you.
Maybe an MVP. You know, I think. You know, I think worst case scenario, and I say this for Buffalo Bills fans, they haven't won a Super Bowl, but if they're not on the peak and the edge of excitement and confidence and loving their Buffalo Bills football team, and losing hurts and not getting to the top hurts.
Yeah, but he wasn't number 1 overall either, though.
No, but I'm just saying in terms of the quarterback, I think you know, if the Tennessee Titans community could just say, hey, will you sign up for what the Bills are currently in?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they're like, yeah, this seems like, you know, we have we have the MVP. We can say we have the MVP, and, you know, we're pretty darn close. We were in the AFC Championship game. That was pretty substantial. So I think all those little things play a factor into that. But Brett, you know, you think when Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota, you know, went 1 and 2, and, you know, I think we even talked about the same discussion, and you just see the parallels of neither one of those guys amounted to anything in terms of Super Bowls and playoff quarterbacks and quarterbacks that will talk with the greats of the greats. You know, Mariota's is basically a backup, and Jameis has his moments, but we've come to learn, and, you know, I even heard him in a podcast where he goes to like a psychologist or a therapist, you know, trying to correct the issues of the, you know, consistent interception issues that he has. So I think Cam Ward, you know, I would just say the Buffalo Bills would be the you know, not the worst case scenario, but if you're not going to win a Super Bowl and have Patrick Mahomes, I think you would be, you know, pretty thrilled. I mean, think about how frustrated the Cincinnati fan base is with Joe Burrow just because of the way the team's underperformed. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, like I said, you know, Justin Herbert, you know, it looked like, wow, I think the success will come with Harbaugh, but that's why I think with Cam Ward, like, is Callahan that next Sean McVay? Is he that next young coach who catches fire early and gets his team turned around quick? To say next year they go 7-10, and the year after that they're, you know, 12-5, and boom, you know, they win the division. Now they got home field and they're going off, you know, and it happens that quick. If you go back in the history of these Super Bowl coaches, from the day it started, a lot of these young guys at the very start of their tenures, that Super Bowl is usually in the first to third season. You know, and we have the you know, the rarities, the Don Schollers, the Landrys, the Belichicks, the Chuck Knowles. There, you know, Joe Gibbs, those are the outliers. But if you go back and look, most of these guys, they strike it hot very early in terms of finding that Super Bowl run, and most of the time walking away with a win.
Mm-hmm. When you look at Ashton Genty, I saw some odds that said he is the favorite to go at number 5. How early do you think we could see him go? And do we see some teams maybe try to move up to grab the running back?
Yeah, you know what? A couple of weeks ago when we were just talking trades, I said the Giants would be a team at 3, and then they took Barkley in 2018 at number 2. I think when you look at, the Giants have a lot of issues. If they're going best player on the board, there's different people who think Genty is the best prospect in this entire draft. And if the Giants elect to think that, then they'll take him. And that's why you read things and the Patriots have, Ramondre Stevenson. Yeah, he's a good thumper. He's a power back. He's missed some time. But, if I have Sedell Threed as a point guard and I can bring in Magic Johnson, I'm bringing in Magic Johnson. That's what I'm doing. So that's the way I look at New England. So I wouldn't even rule out New England at 4. I know Will Campbell's the popular pick there. He's a guard. I just, maybe they'll try him at left tackle, but he's, a great left guard. That's a high pick for a guy that I look as an interior lineman. So I get kind of hung up on that idea that they go there. But I think Genty, in my mind, and I'm honest in this assessment, more. I think number 3 to the Giants, all the way down to New England, and then so on to the Raiders and not the Jaguars. I think they're pretty well stacked there at the running back position. But I think 3 is the highest spot he could go. And I think the lowest, the lowest floor for him would be 10 to the Bears.
Have the Steelers been done wrong by Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I was down there at the South Side. Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin, they had their draft presser this morning, and I was down there. They were. I don't know if they were burned. I think they kind of knew what they were going into from the reluctancy of him, waiting around and et cetera. And now what? It's been a while since free agency started, and he was able to kind of choose these teams. I wanted to save this question because I just want people to, when you've been in the business a long time and you just kind of know you're really never going to get many answers. And I just thought I'd share this, guys, with you. The question was asked to Tomlin today. As the indecision continues, would you be comfortable with him, Aaron Rodgers, missing OTAs and then coming to camp? And Tomlin said, I hadn't pondered those things, to be quite honest with you. And I laughed, and after it was over, I told the guys, I said, listen, I love Tomlin, but to think that he hasn't pondered the idea of that, just say,
he's pondered war game everything.
Yeah, but just to say I hadn't pondered that, and add, to be quite honest with you, I love him, but I'm like, I don't think you're being quite honest with us. I think there might have been one moment throughout one day where you sat and you pondered the idea of having or not having Aaron Rodgers at OTAs, but that's the part of the business. Very, and the Steelers were good today. Those guys, they said there's about 20, 21 guys. They like to have 21 guys that they consider first round guys, and it doesn't mean that they can find 21, but they like to have 21 guys. And they said their 21 is obviously the best players, but they also want to have a suit their system. They just don't want to, hypothetically, if they're playing a certain type of style. And then Tomlin even said it, if you're the top guys, he called them top animals. If you're one of them top guys to say, elite, top 5, top 10, he said system-wise, you're going to be able to play in any system. And I thought that was a very good point. Kobe Bryant's going to be able to play in any system and vice versa, So, I don't think Julio Jones would have struggled in any offense that he was in.
Right, yeah. Well, it's going to be fun Thursday night to see how the entire first round, then even into the weekend, see how the draft plays out for every team in the NFL, and certainly questions for the Steelers on what they will do in the first round. Bo, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the draft later this week, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday.
Hey, stay safe and enjoy the draft, gentlemen.
Thanks, Bo.
Thank you, Bo. You as well. And always, anytime you pack for Green Bay, any time of the year, take a jacket.
Yeah, you gotta dress warm for Green Bay, no matter if
just
it's
the
middle of summer or the middle of winter. Just make sure you got a jacket on hand. Next time we talk to Bo, we'll do future Hall of Famers from the draft, right? So
we will.
That will be fun.
I had Julio his year.
Did you really? That was
did.
Good pick. It was a very good pick. So, yeah, we'll see who we go with here in a week. Some of these first-round guys.
There have been some misses.
Well, I'm sure there have been. There are always misses with future Hall of Fame. That's a high bar to set for guys on draft day, but that'll be a lot of fun next week. Always appreciate Bo Marchant for joining us. Again, we're out early today. Ole Miss and Mississippi State, the rare conference midweek game. We'll have their pregame at 5:30 for the first pitch at 6 o'clock. So we're going to get to an early.
This doesn't count as a conference game. This is a standalone Governor's Cup game.
That's right. But still, conference teams, very weird to look and see these two teams
playing
against
after
each other.
losing last week in the week to Little Rock, Ole Miss needs this badly for RPI?
Yeah, that's
Net?
right. Yeah.
What do they have in college baseball?
I believe it's RPI,
Okay.
but don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on anything when it comes to college baseball. I enjoy it, but I don't know exactly what all the metrics they're looking at is. Before we get to crunch time, let me remind you about our great 5 o'clock sponsors. It's Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984, and their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. And don't forget about the Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com, but head out there, test drive these vehicles. 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince for Bluff City Jaguar. Let's go ahead and get to crunch time.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that Penny Hardaway spoke with media earlier today, and he said that he hasn't closed the door on PJ Haggerty returning to Memphis. He said there isn't any bad blood between him and Haggerty's camp. Here's the quote he said, quote, "I think that everybody understands the portal and what it does. I don't think that there was any disrespect to our university at all. PJ and I and his father have a great relationship. I think that he's really fully focused on the NBA. He didn't close the door on us, and we'll still talk and have a great relationship." So it wasn't like he was like, I'm out of here, I'm gone. That's his right to go into the portal if he wants to. I do think that is one of Penny Hardaway's strong suits. He really understands where the game is with the transfer portal, with recruiting, with everything that's going on. And so we've seen that, when a player decides to enter the transfer portal, he doesn't cut off that relationship or anything. We've seen with Musa Cisse and with some other players where he has missed on them in the portal or they have been a part of the program, then go somewhere else. That door is still open for a return. Maybe we see that with PJ Haggerty. He also mentioned Dane Danger and talked about him in his case, saying, quote, "I hope the NCAA sees it for what it's worth. With so many guys around the country getting 6, 7, 8 years, I don't know how they decide those things, but you would hope that they show favor to Dane and that he's allowed to come back." So some good quotes from Penny Hardaway earlier today.
What I learned is pretty must-win tonight for LBJ and LUKA. Down 1-0. If they don't win tonight, they go back to the land of 10,000 lakes. That really plays big into Lakers' name and their history.
Right, yeah.
Down 2-0.
Oh, Oh, yeah, you cannot go down 2-0 if you're the Lakers tonight. What I could have done without, well, it's the build-up to Game 2 tonight for the Grizzlies. After what we saw in Game 1, the 51-point loss, it doesn't feel like many people are optimistic for Game 2, but obviously I'm sure there's been a lot of talk, a lot of film watching for this team ahead of tonight's game, and hopefully we see a better effort. I think that's the big word, effort, out there tonight against OKC.
I could have done without this. We talked about it with Bo Marchant. The Steelers say all they want, that Aaron Rodgers won't affect their draft strategy. I think he already has.
I think so. Yeah, it feels like he has, and that's going to be something to watch into the draft and even after that. What happens with Aaron Rodgers, because he's not ready to make a decision yet. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me to Oklahoma City to Paycom Center for Game 2. Must be a better effort. Simple math. It will be a lot more narrow margin, just any kind of effort. If it's not, but somehow it's more than 51, just cancel Thursday.
Well, I had a buddy who texted me earlier today, and he said, I think if you lose by 51 points in a playoff game, no matter what game it is, that should just end the series. The team that won by 50, congratulations, you're on to the next round. Certainly, if you win 2 games by 50 points, that should definitely do it. Beam me tonight to the Minnesota and Lakers game. Obviously, Minnesota up 1-0 after winning on the road in Game 1. I mentioned it earlier. Got to have better interior play. Jackson Hayes, you got to play better. You got to limit them to less than 44 points in the paint if you're the Lakers, if you want to win the game tonight.
We'll watch a lot tonight. 3 NBA playoff games, 4 NHL playoff games, 15 baseball games. All 30 Major League Baseball teams going tonight. Dodgers, Cubs at Wrigley. Andre Palante trying to stop the losing streak for the Cardinals down in Atlanta. STL versus ATL.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully, Palante. That 8th inning last night for the Cardinals, we didn't mention it, but, oh, boy.
It's always one inning. It kind of does it.
It really is.
Fragile team.
Very fragile team. You mentioned the NHL. Already got one game start at 5 o'clock. Devils and Hurricanes. Devils up 1-0 already. So
they're not my teams.
Yeah, no. So you're not
Leaves and
on
Jets.
Them. That's right. Only the Leaves and the Jets. Well, it's going to be a fun night. No matter what type of sport you like, you pretty much get it tonight. Kind of that buffet that Brett was talking about over the weekend. You're kind of getting that tonight with all the NBA, NHL, and baseball. That's all the time we have. Enjoy the night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.
Tax season, and by now, I know we're all a bit tired of numbers, but here's an important one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Here's another 20%.